And welcome back to another GACC podcast where we are going to be discussing games, anime, computers, and collectibles, but not necessarily all that in one week. I'm still your host, Harrison. To my right,
James.
And to my left,
Guns. I mean, Faust.
Yeah, so
you almost blew the intro.
I almost blew the intro. And so for everybody that doesn't know, we were actually having a conversation during our sound check here. We were talking about GACC could stand for guns, ammo, camouflage, and camping. So we were thinking about changing it to an outdoor show.
Let us know in the comments if you approve.
Yes.
Will we put up the tent in the background?
I think the three of us would be absolutely horrible in the outdoors.
I would.
Yes, we would be. But this is all relevant.
Searching around for Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi.
I know. It's like how can we have a show without the
Watch
internet?
out for that clip. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So speaking of clips,
Cliff, not Cliff.
Oh, clips. Oh,
Cliff.
Cliff.
Because I would be doing this with my phone. And the Cliff would be there.
Yes.
So apparently, the thing that has riled up the gamers this last week
Oh boy, it's a big one.
Has been apparently supposed word that the president's going to be meeting with members of the video game industry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
To talk about violence in video games after another school shooting. Now, I don't want to get into like the nuances of this. I want to talk about this from like historical context and everything else like this, because everybody with the gaming industry, or even people that play video games, we've dealt with this since Columbine.
Yeah. Probably Columbine wasn't the first time a school shooting happened.
No, but I think it was the first time where they started to directly talk about violence in video games.
In video games, yes.
Because with that one, it was rumored, and I think it got debunked, that they were making maps of the school in Doom.
No, they made those.
Oh, they did make those?
Yes.
Oh.
I have actually read the Trenchcoat Diaries. There was a magazine published taking excerpts from the shooter's website and writings, along with testimonials from survivors of the shooting and an interview with Marilyn Manson and other things like that. And one of the things was, yes, they were actually mapping out the school. They made a map of the school as a Doom playable
level.
Doom map as a level, yes.
Amazing what you learn in CAD class.
Yeah.
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 So with this, I mean, what ended up happening is Donald Trump, I guess, had been talking about school safety, and he ended up saying, we have to look at the internet, because a lot of bad things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed. And we have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it. And also video games. That is literally what he said. It's like afterthought was that. Then his press secretary comes out and goes, yeah, he's going to see about having a summit, with video game people in the industry and whatnot, to see what we can do about violent video games and guns and video games and everything else like this. And of course, every gamer, we've been through this before. We just go, games are not the issue.
The biggest of eye rolls, for sure. So, not going to pick apart that sentence much as I'd love to, nor am I going to really concentrate too much on Trump or his motivations there. The interesting thing is that he is entering into a summit with actual video game developers, whereas it's always kind of given the sense, at least in media, it's portrayed as the developers are just going to have to deal with whatever the government decides, and it's not usually the developers who are brought in for these kinds of discussions. It's going to be the parents and the families, or the NRA or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're going to make a decision, and then the developers or the game design houses are going to just have to deal with whatever they come up with. So the fact that actual people in the industry are being brought in to discuss this and try to decide how to go forward with that kind of thing, I don't think it's going to mean that they're going to absolutely get rid of all violence in video games, because the idea of you have to shoot the thing is pretty much the first thing any video game ever accomplished. The very first video game was about shooting stuff.
Yeah, Star Wars.
The very first video game was a two-player game that was programmed on an oscilloscope.
I thought that was Pong. That wasn't shooting things.
No.
That was Pong.
That's not Pong.
Yes, it is.
No, it was a game where you both controlled spaceships. They have this at the Natural History Museum here in New Mexico. You controlled spaceships that looked like it was asteroid, and you shot rockets at each other.
So there's that, but that's not the first one. The first one actually was Pong. But
The first mass marketed video game was Pong.
okay,
Yeah.
Pong was also made on an oscilloscope. But without getting into like the semantics of the history, because that's not the point here.
But you wanted to.
Not that far back. Okay.
Okay.
Let's
I'm just saying
Let's
that-
leave our rockers at the door.
I'm just saying
a
there's
little.
been shooting of videos. Okay, that's not my first video game.
Okay.
Geez, I have enough gray hair. What the
But
hell?
the thing is basically with all this is caused another cycle where they start looking at the entertainment industry again, violence in the entertainment industry, and people are looking at this going, is this the problem? I don't know. There have been plenty of psychological studies that say that there is no effect, from playing violent video games and correlating it to, causing violence.
Yeah, the manifestation of violence in an individual, regardless of their age.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. You're right.
Thank you.
Right
for
on
that-
what?
For the fact that
This
the
is
first
something
video
totally.
game,
A fact check on the game.
first video game ever.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
just fact checked it. Fact check.
Okay. Fine.
High five.
Not bad.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Better save this clip. It doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So,
Just to forewarn, I'm probably going to bring up a few things. You guys are probably going to bring up a few things. You're going to have a checklist, and this video is going to go a lot faster if you don't keep pausing the video to look up everything that we talk about. Just wait till the end,
Click.
and then put your questions down in the comments.
So a couple of things I keep seeing that come out this week, and there's really weird, is we have, first off is video games are protected underneath the First Amendment. And this is something that got ruled on by the Supreme Court back in 2011 with Brown versus the Entertainment Merchants Association. The rules made it clear that video games were an expression of free speech and thus could not be limited. Okay? So, I don't want to get into a whole First Amendment thing because, again, if there is a summit that's going to happen, they're looking at this. They're hopefully looking at the movie industry, the TV industry, and everything too, because that's where the big argument is. They're like, violent video games are part of the problem, is what they're saying. But
Okay.
at the same point, us as gamers are saying they're not part of the problem.
Well, we've been playing some of the most violent video games that anybody's had access to. I mean, as a gamer, during the times that we grew up and developed as gamers, these games were the ones that were available, and they were the ones that were being shoved in our face and marketed to us.
Torok.
Yeah.
Turok, Carmageddon,
GoldenEye.
Mortal Kombat. And GoldenEye actually led on to Perfect Dark, and Perfect Dark actually they had a add-on that was canceled, an interface with the Game Boy camera that let you take a picture of your face or somebody else's face and then superimpose that face on the models in the game. That was a canceled feature for the very obvious reason.
Yep.
But so in
I'm
the
gonna put my best friend's face on there and shoot him.
No, so Rainbow Six, you could actually put your face in there on the Xbox 360. They had a feature for that. So they did those games, and that was actually quite hilarious too. But the thing is like, it's really weird because it's like they have studies that have shown that video games do cause people to become a little bit more quote unquote violent, at least, or aggressive during the time they play it. There have been, you hear things being said like the people that have committed these school shootings, 20% of them have played first-person shooters or violent video games. But then, a lot of stuff ends up getting debunked going, no, on the whole, it's like the video game is no more of an issue than a movie with violence and glorifying guns and everything else in it.
Yeah. And we are somewhat restrictive on movies and the level of which age you're allowed to see which level of grotesquerie or gore or whatever else is going on the screen. Video games do have the ESRB. That was a voluntary that formed voluntarily from the games industry going, okay, we should probably say, you need to be this old to really understand what's going on in the game and handle it, cope with it psychologically. The major thing that's changed between then and now is that video games have been pushed further and further towards a sense of realism, in that, there are video games out there that emulate things like shooting a sniper rifle with things like windage and drop over distance and having to use the actual sniper reticle to decide how you're going to fire, and so it trains you in a way how in certain basics of sniper shooting. It's not exactly the same, I understand. The
other thing with this is, I mean, there's been studies showing that first-person shooters do improve eye-hand coordination.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that is something that you can actually bring over into the real world of owning weapons. So.
Well, if it's true to form, I can say this. I aim for shit in video games, and I have shot a real gun, and I can tell you that's at least 1-to-1. I aim for shit in real life, too. So, there's that. Though I am somewhat of a crack shot with a BB gun, so I don't know exactly what's going on there. I don't think that the two really correlate, because shooting a gun in a video game offers no haptic feedback. It offers no tactile response. In actually that you might get a vibration of the controller to give you some sort of sense that it marks it as a way of saying that you did something. But shooting a gun is painful. It's loud. It smells distinctive.
You've apparently not turned up your headphones all the way while playing some of these video games, because a lot of these kids are blasting their headphones and they can't even hear their parents screaming at them when they come in the room.
But I don't turn up the headphones. Because then I wouldn't be able to hear the screams in the game.
So, one of the other things with all this, because I mean, whenever something like this, national incident, puts stuff in the spotlight, is the good things about video games keep getting pushed aside, such as they use video games, especially first-person shooters, as a form of PTSD therapy for military people that have come back from combat situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're helping to adjust and relive, because one of the things with the PTSD is being able to work through the situation and everything else like this and start to come to terms with it. And so they are using the similar type of thing with the first-person shooter game as a form of therapy. Which
is what I was getting at, like especially the realism in shooter video games, the very popular multiplayer ones, your Call of Duties and Modern Warfares and Battlefields. Which I don't follow, so I probably got all of those wrong. But they are pushed further and further towards a sense of realism, and then pulled back from that realism in certain ways as well, like UIs and the more arcade aspects of those encounters. The fact that it is this just chaotic sort of, you don't really have a lot of squad tactics. There's not a lot of sitting around waiting for the attack to happen. There's no weight given to the fact that your character is going to get shot and killed, or that you shot and killed something. That's just the win and lose condition. That's kind of how the game design goes. Now, the latchkey argument here, to try and play devil's advocate, and this is what they hit upon and became a very big part before the whole thing kind of fizzled in the original debate about violence in video games, is that it's not that it promotes violence within, like, acts of violence or a sense of violence within an individual, but that it desensitizes them to such things to the point where they feel like it doesn't have the same impact. It sort of generates that kind of antisocial behavior.
Now, I can kind of see this, but I don't want to necessarily, I don't push it towards the video games. I actually push it towards the internet technology nowadays, because I mean, the thing is like, there's at least a rating system for movies, there's a rating system for TV shows, there's a rating system for video games. There's not a rating system for YouTube.
True.
And the thing is, with kids nowadays are very connected technology wise, more so than we were as kids, because everything is like, the attention spans are getting so much quicker because you can get to like everything so fast. And so videos are there on demand. You have a smartphone. You're always connected to the internet. You're always connected to this sort of medium in media. And so, the thing is, at least we had some unplugging when we were younger. But a kid nowadays, it's, they can be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, addicted to the internet. And so
always connected.
You're desensitized to other people because you're not having interactions with them face to face. And the internet has caused this weird shift in how we treat people, more so than anything. So yeah, I mean, kids were always, if you're honest with yourself, kids were always little shits. Our kids can be little shits.
It's in the
we were
contract,
little
yes.
shits.
No, I was a perfect angel.
No, it's a contractual obligation. You're not going to sit here and tell me that you violated the contract of a kid and weren't a little shit.
Yeah, I mean, kids have always
Somebody was sick of your shit.
kids have always done horrible things, and usually it is society and peer pressure that goes, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that, to learn right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And some of this is being lost because there's not the in-person interaction with it, a lot of the times.
Well, I remember, kind of as a tangent, I remember in arcades, wow, that's a thing. That's not a thing anymore. In arcades, in the big cabinets and everything like that, especially for the more violent video games, those were the ones that they always put up the FBI, only losers use drugs,
Yeah.
kind of dealy and everything like that. And I always expected them to be like, I remember at least Mortal Kombat, I want to say 2 onward or something, and other related fighter games and stuff like that had some sort of warning violence, or this
game has violence.
This is fantasy.
This
that
is
kind
not
of thing.
real. Do not do this in real life.
Yeah, but look at the internet now. I mean, it seems like everybody wants to mimic something stupid because of like YouTube or some fad or something goes
Or
viral.
some account, yeah.
I mean,
That's all.
what's the most recent thing? Tide Pods. For Christ's sakes, Tide Pods.
I think that's actually gone that's actually gone away. It's had its chance, and enough people have hurt themselves, and enough people have been. That's so stupid. And I'm a full supporting member of the notion that anybody, for whatever reason, thinks that it's going to be okay for them to swallow a Tide Pod, deserves no intervention in the consequences.
But we've had the cinnamon challenges, and there's been lots of things that
The backpack challenge.
What about that thing with the shot glasses to like give them puffy lips?
Oh God,
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
kids do stupid things.
So it was sort of a thing like you want to take pictures like remember the whole duck lips thing?
Yeah,
The whole duck face thing?
Yeah.
So what it came about was apparently there was a beauty tip for photo shooting models or something along those lines, that they would stick their lips into a shot glass and do that thing like when you would suck on the glass and stick it to your face.
Yeah, stick it to your face.
But they would do that with their lips, and that would break the blood vessels and make the lips swell
and rosier.
That's disgusting.
and rosy. But it was a convincing argument that it made for good pictures. And so a lot of people did it and did permanent damage to themselves. Just like Tide Pod Challenge and Cinnamon Challenge. And I saw something, and I hope to God this is not true. If it is, I will have lost some hope for the world. But apparently there's the Hot Iron Challenge, which is to get a stovetop up to the red hot.
Somebody actually did that.
And stick your arm on it.
Somebody actually did that. The majority of people went, that's stupid. I hope nobody else does it. But for context, Beavis and Butthead did the same thing when we were kids. But that was in a cartoon.
Yeah, that's a cartoon.
And I still remember.
How many people emulated cartoons, though?
A lot.
Yeah.
Enough people emulated Beavis and Butthead that they actually had to put a disclaimer at the front saying, you're an idiot if you do anything that Beavis and Butthead do. These people are morons. They're not meant to be more than entertaining cartoons. They're not real. Don't do it. And one of those don't try this at home. That was probably one of the first really forerunners of the don't try this at home push in most things. And it was kind of bad. I understand that with a lot of idiocracy kind of media out there, cartoons and what have you, saying don't try this at home because it's not real. This is all fantasy. But then you get into stuff like the science shows, and all of a sudden they have to say don't try this at home because it is actually dangerous and will hurt and destroy things. And that's is one of those, well, don't try this at home, so we're not liable if you do try it because we said don't try it at home. But then we say it's going to be it's going to destroy things and explode and do all the cool things, and so people just run off to vacant lots and mix chemicals together.
Well,
so in that vein, I will say that there are always people who are going to follow these things, these challenges. I mean, and that's where we had like the successful ALS ice bucket challenge that ran rampant, and that was good because that raised a lot of money for ALS research. So finding a good positive challenge to get out there and counteract these kinds of things is probably the way to go as far as that's concerned. Now, saying that there are always going to be impressionable people who are going to jump on the bandwagon because, monkey eating the berries,
monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, they're gonna see it and they're gonna want to do it because everybody else is doing it and they're just having a great old time doing it. So, why not me? Why I want to be one of the monkeys too. So, with that, that's where video games come back in. Because, there hasn't been any kind of test or study saying that these things lead to actual increases in violence. But, tests and meta-studies can only accomplish so much. And since what we know about the human brain, and especially a developing human brain, is about a drop of water in the ocean, as far as the knowledge that we don't know, I will say that there are going to be a certain amount of individuals out there, young, impressionable minds growing up, that will play these video games, will get some sort of rush out of these video games, and want to take that rush into the real world and see if it applies there. And not have the cognizance to really understand that the impact of something in a video game is in no way the same as the impact of that same act in the real world. And it's down to, it could be on the video games for providing that kind of aspect, or it could be on the parents for giving them access to that kind of thing. It could be on the community for not understanding how impressionable they are and making sure that they're educated to understand the difference between fantasy violence and real violence. And the thing about it is, even before video games came out or got popular and realistic enough for people to be concerned about violence, we had movies and videos going around that were way more violent, or at least just as violent as video games are these days.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we had a similar debate then.
Well, like I said, this has come up a lot over time. And I part of it is there's like a bit of a change in society. Now, one interesting thing that also came out of all this last week that just blew my mind was a judge ordered a teen to stop playing violent video games. Mm-hmm. This was in Chicago.
Okay, what was up with the teen?
So a student at the Lake Park High School in the suburbs of Chicago was arrested for threatening to commit a school shooting on social media. So what ended up happening is, at the hearing, the judge ordered the teen to forfeit his smartphone to his parents and stop playing violent video games. Mm-hmm. Basically, what he had said on social media, a 16-year-old sophomore, is that y'all need to shut up about school shootings or I'll do one. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, part of this is context is
bad move, kid.
Yeah, bad move, kid. But kids say things like this nowadays, and I, as a parent and as of an older generation, I get appalled by things like that. Mm-hmm. And so the kid did get arrested because guess what? Everybody's knee jerking up a notch, in regards to anything like this, especially after recent events, mm-hmm. That had happened. Now, what's also weird about this is the assistant state attorney made the motion to make it a condition of his release. It wasn't intended as punishment, but to ensure a successful home detention and extra precaution.
Okay.
For this. But this is one of the first times I've heard of a court ruling saying,
don't play violent video games.
Don't play violent video games.
So I guess this is sort of a Clockwork Orange thing, and I really don't want to make that kind of argument, but it's there to make, and I might as well voice it. So in a Clockwork Orange, we have a very violent individual who is through psychological and physical manipulation is basically desensitized, is averted, given aversion therapy away from these violent tendencies. And these are real world violent tendencies. He's not doing it in a video game or something like that.
Okay.
And as another aspect of sort of a punishment aspect of the treatment, because he's a convicted criminal, they also desensitize him, or they oversensitize him, or avert him from his favorite music, which is Ludwig van Beethoven. They make it so that how bad he feels whenever any kind of violence rises in his mind, he'll also feel that bad whenever he's hearing Beethoven. And then that is used as a punishment against him. That is used as a torture against him by somebody that he had victimized. Really weird stuff. Clockwork Orange is a great movie. I recommend it. So the thing about it is, he put this video up, and it is stated that in the actual threat. Well, I mean, he said it was a joke, but in a threat, there's a hashtag for a post-apocalyptic war video game. We haven't identified the specific video game involved here. I don't think that's really important, but
No.
because he identified a violent video game as other people who are as a hashtag, which means other people who are interested in this video game will find this post.
Yeah.
That kind of it's all a ring
Because of social media.
because of social media. So he identified this game, which means he likes violent video games. He gets some sort of enjoyment out of them, and so that's, I think, where the judge is coming from in that one, is that this. If
You
this
obviously
is,
like it in that area, so block you off from it.
yeah, like, well, if this is something that these video games are going to make you do, even if it was in jest, you have to understand you made a lot of people very worried. And they did not charge him with anything further than
Home arrest, basically.
well, yeah, they convicted him and sentenced him to home arrest and grounding, but the actual charge was something like public nuisance,
Yeah.
gross public nuisance. So
I can't wait till somebody's playing Mario Kart and says, I'm just going to go out and run everyone over if I keep getting hit by red shells.
I will say that having to play some of the, after playing some of the sandbox video games, I have to admit this, like stuff like the Grand Theft Auto series that always gets brought up whenever this kind of stuff gets brought up.
Yeah.
True crime, anything where you basically hop into a car and drive around really recklessly. I have to be kind of careful about driving around in the real world if they're playing those games. Now, I'm like a gamer. I'm trying to be a pro at this. Like, I'm trying to do YouTube content and reviews and all that kind of stuff. So when I play a video game, I play a video game, capital PLAY video
Unless
game.
he's playing against me on Mario Kart and I play the cutest character in the game and still win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was good. I just say I play them.
Those
So-
old controllers were weapons, though, because I remember we played Mario Kart. You'd hit your buddy with the red shell back in the day, and you got mad enough at him, you'd throw the controller.
And I was like,
those things
The
hurt.
Super Nintendo controller. Hooka!
I was never really a blunt force trauma kind of kid. I always went for the controllers with the wires.
So I was never a
'Cause a wire-
bludgeoning
yeah.
type person. I was more of a
Wire, no, not a snake, not a garrote kind of thing, but a wire can leave a welt. And my brother still hasn't forgiven me for giving him a welt with an NES controller wire.
Really?
Yeah, I grabbed that thing and just like, and
He still hasn't forgiven
he
you?
still hasn't forgiven me. He still brings it up every now and then.
So I guess I got
So-
some things to talk about.
Yeah.
You guys played the new Overwatch character?
No,
it just came out.
She's awesome.
Is she awesome? I heard she's a sort of a support tank, kind of.
I heard she got a lot of support already on the internet.
Oh,
I
Rule 34 is in full effect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that happens all the time. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Overwatch, as I do.
Yes, you do.
So the couple of things I saw around this, because Bridget, and I figured they're going to make her character at some point.
She showed up in one of the cinematics. I will confess, I was trying to get back into Overwatch, and I went and watched all the cinematics, and Bridget shows up in the Reinhardt.
And she was in the comic before then and everything like that.
Yeah.
I suspected she may be coming as a character. But what's interesting is about this is like, cool, I'm glad that they're still adding characters. This is what makes Overwatch good, is they keep adding more characters in. That's what keeps the game having playability.
And MOBAs have taught us you can never have too many characters.
Right. But what's interesting is, there's the free-to-play one called Paladins. Is that it?
Yeah.
That got a lot
alright.
of shade thrown at it because it was,
It's
supposedly
pay to win.
an Overwatch clone.
It's an Overwatch clone.
Now,
It kind of is.
Now, Paladins is throwing shade back at Overwatch, going, "You just cloned one of our characters."
I think they're working together.
Sorry, Paladins. Like, you guys lost all credibility with all the loot boxes and pay-to-win strategies that you actually, you kowtowed to try and keep your free-to-play game going.
Well, that's how you do
I
it.
wouldn't say Overwatch bit your character. I think they showed you how to do it right.
Oh. Here's all, let me take a little salt and add more salt.
Yeah. I like salt.
Well,
Speaking of other games, though.
maybe if they had gone and done some Rule 34 for the Paladin characters, they would have
Okay,
been
no
around.
Rule 34, stop.
They exist. Trust me, they
Stop
exist.
right there.
They really exist.
So you guys missed out on a sale.
Darn.
Humble Bundle.
Oh, darn.
You missed
Oh,
out.
which one?
It was because it only had like maybe it might still be going on. I only had 10 hours left when I bought it. It was for Dark Souls 3.
Oh, I'm not sorry I missed.
I would. There's a lot of people that would say that Dark Souls games are very rage-inducing.
Dark Souls 3.
I actually caved and bought a recent Humble Bundle, even though more than half the games in the bundle I already owned. I ended up giving away most of the games in that bundle. But for pay what you want, I got a copy of Tesla Effect, which is a Tex Murphy FMV game. And so it inspired me to go back and start playing the other Tex Murphy games. And it's nice to play something from the older eras to kind of get away from that whole fast-paced run-and-shoot kind of deal and get back to the adventure gaming. In my news for video games, there has actually been Metal Gear Survive has come out and has been critically panned.
Goodbye.
I wonder why.
I know,
wonder
right?
why. So I wasn't really like surprised by that. I thought it was going to happen.
And it failed.
It's still kind of like IGN's still kind of throwing shit out there.
So Konami pulled an EA. Basically, you have to pay extra money for extra character slots and everything else.
No. Not that you have to pay extra money. It's not like a 99-cent thing or something like that. So you're given one save slot, one loadout slot. For extra slots on either one of those, and this is a game where you're going to be playing many classes and many different loadouts with each type of character that you put in. It's $10 per slot.
Nope.
So that's there's like something like 7 available loadout slots, but so that's 6 at $10 or $60 per character, and then another $10 for the other 2 character slots after that. And that's not even including all of the other stuff that they have as microtransactions to purchase there as well.
I don't know when the video game industry is going to understand that we will bite the bullet a little with DLC, but when you start to microtransaction the entire game, instead of giving us a complete proper game, then we're going to get pissed.
But the thing I wanted to comment on was actually in one of the early scenes, the early cutscenes of Metal Gear Survive before all the action gets going or anything like that. There is actually a hidden message from a developer on the Konami team, which kind of proves that they didn't really have any kind of quality assurance going on here. At least nothing to look for, like really, really secret messages or anything like that.
No, this was really hard to find. Okay,
this one's. I mean, it's on a clipboard. It's probably not like fully like zoomed up in there, but you can zoom in on it or get a good picture on your 4K screen because it's a 4K game. Which basically says Kojima Productions, KJP, forever, and then points out Bastard Yoda and Cunning Yuji. Now, these two people Yoda and Yuji are the name of 2 people who were instrumental in creating Metal Gear Survive and might be in some way blamed for Kojima being ousted from the project or Konami kind of going the direction they did with that kind of thing. We don't know. Can't say for sure. But This developer managed to sneak this into the game as a, I say pause and it doesn't pause. So as a kind of secret message saying Kojima Productions has been and will always be Metal Gear. And Metal Gear Survive is probably seen as the, I'm going to be nice here and say necromancy of the corpse. Like them just taking the corpse of Metal Gear and kind of, I call it is the world's most expensive asset flip. They had Fox Engine. They had all of the things from Metal Gear Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain.
Okay.
And they brought in a bunch of their they brought in a bunch of the remaining game devs that still kind of hung on in the company and said, do something with this.
I don't think it was brought them in. I thought it was more like
you will or you're fired.
You will or you're fired.
Yeah.
We're gonna lock you in this room and we are gonna slide pizzas under the door and everything like this. And if you have some understanding of how hard they drive game developers in China sometimes and some of the poor treatment, this is not far off from in my hyperbole here.
So essentially, this is the sweatshop labor result of an asset flip using there's nothing really new except for the character models, which are the same character models from the Metal Gear 5 series. Except their heads have been lopped off and replaced with glowing red unicorn horns. Nice. And I mean,
glowing red.
Charlie, let's go to Candy Mountain. Charlie, let's go to Candy Mountain. That's the only thing I can think of.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, just looking at it, I can say Metal Gear Survive is certainly a game. I've always enjoyed the Metal Gear games, though I've never been good at any of them. Once again, I refer back to my previous statement about I aim for shit in video games. That's any game where you aim a gun. And Metal Gear does require a little precision, a tad of precision.
I beat the first one.
Yeah.
And I played second and third. I played the fourth, but not the fifth.
You didn't miss much. Actually, there are a lot of people who say if you like the others in the series, that the fifth game isn't really your speed. But there are people who have just picked up the fifth one and said they absolutely loved it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that did not like the styles of the first games, and then Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. It was a lot. It was different, but it was still good. It was a good game for what it did, because it's like the first open world one, basically. So
and hopefully the last. Because if Survive has proved anything, then they can just basically run a random procedural generation algorithm on the existing assets and basically go, right, here's your new game, $60 plus microtransactions, please. We really have to really, really push back against microtransactions.
yes, microtransactions are bad.
Terrible.
That's a bad.
Yeah,
Don't
Those
do
are
that.
bad, Carl.
quit buying video games with microtransactions. My gosh.
So-
Wait. I know why this is happening.
Why is that?
Think about it. Cars. They're microtransactions.
Get out.
The thing about it is, you're wrong.
Yeah, right?
Because-
I'm telling him to get out, and you're wrong.
Because let's put it this way: a car. If you're saying all of the stuff that necessarily goes into the upkeep, maintenance, and insurance of a car, gas and visits to the shops for new tires and things like that. If you don't buy that for your car stops moving.
And
that's the best case scenario, is that your car stops moving. If not, your car is moving and then it suddenly stops moving.
While you're on the road.
And you keep moving. Yeah.
See, that's where it actually does fit, because a video game, if you're not buying the microtransactions and all, it ends up getting boring, and then you just move on to the next video game.
Get out.
But that would mean that.
Get out.
But I hate you.
All right, so I have something that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes.
Not microtransactions. So Steam has a sale on Square Enix games.
Square Enix.
Squeenix.
It's up to 50% off. Stormblood, Final Fantasy 14, is on sale, 50% off.
Don't buy it.
Not gonna do
Buy
it.
it. Buy it.
It's an MMO. Don't buy it.
World of Final Fantasy was also on sale, 50% off.
Yeah.
So now I have no need for a PS4.
Okay.
Because that's the only reason why I wanted a PS4.
You want to sell me a PS4?
No.
No.
I don't have a PS4.
Oh. Well, why? But
That would see the only reason why I would buy one.
See, this has been my argument for this last year, and why I don't own any of the current generation consoles, is because now you can just get it all on the PC.
yeah, any exclusive that you would want to play is going to end up on PC, or probably wasn't that good to begin with.
And World of Final Fantasy is now on Steam.
Cool.
I bought it for $19.
Nice. Congratulations.
And they had a bunch of sales on there. So
Okay.
If you want to get Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I
Not
don't think
really.
they have 1. They have
Maybe 6.
6.
Yeah.
They also had 7. They also
Yeah.
had 8.
Yeah.
They also had all the lightnings.
Mm.
I
You
don't.
didn't say 9?
They had 9.
X2?
X and X2.
Okay.
They have the remastered one, of course.
So the sale's going on
Yep.
right now. Will it be on?
I don't know what's gonna. I forgot.
Will it be on when the show goes up on Monday? That's the earliest that the show
Possibly,
goes
yes.
up. For those of you watching on YouTube, the show does go up on our podcast on Mondays on Google Play and iTunes. So if you do want to get an early preview of the show, if you want to get an early access to the show, just go subscribe.
I think
there.
this last weekend I just spent $50 on games.
Nice.
No, 20, 40, 50.
So
I spent $80 on games.
I spent 15
So
on a Humble Bundle that I gave half of away.
Nice.
Yeah.
here's you want to know the big delicious irony this week? Okay, you know what the Tor project is, right?
Is that the dark web browser?
That's the dark web browser.
The VPN
Okay.
kind of thing?
Yeah, the thing where you're supposed to be 100% not tracked and everything else like this.
Yes.
Okay. Documents show the Tor project is nearly 100% U.S. government funded.
According to Hard OCP?
Well, they reported the story. I can find they
Yasha
aggregated
Levine.
they aggregated the story. The Freedom of Information request produced nearly 2,005 pages of correspondence between the Tor project and its main funder, a CIA spinoff now known as the Broadcasting Board of Governors. So
Sounds a little tinfoil to me.
really,
Yeah, getting your tinfoil hat on.
well, be careful, because right now, if you're saying things that are like conspiracy theory related, YouTube might shut us down and they might strike us, take us off. So this is not tinfoil hat, okay?
It's
You
a
can say whatever you want.
shiny hat.
You can say whatever you want. I'm going to cut to a graphic of big censored graphic with a tinfoil hat on it because I just launched into a huge fucking tirade about all the things YouTube can do with their friggin' terms of service.
So author Yasha Levin is writing a book called Surveillance Valley, and in his research, he found all these documents from the Freedom of Information Act, and he has released the documents obtained in the Freedom of Information Act request on the document cloud. So this author is proposing that the Tor project,
the CIA,
has been funded by the CIA.
yeah.
Which is plausible. So
Well, I've seen American Made. I know the CIA likes to screw everything over in the name of national security. So, sure.
yeah, I mean, and it could be one of those things that they were planning on using it for themselves also. But how many things has the CIA or the government done to help benefit us, or things that
We don't have that much time on this show.
Yeah. But I saw this, it was this week, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious because, there are so many people out there that think the Tor project is a wonderful thing, and that it's this way you can't be tracked by the government. And the government, we got to protect ourselves from the government and everything else like this. And
You know what they need to do? You know what they need to remake? The Net. They need to remake either The Net or Enemy of the State or something along those
John
lines.
Grisham.
Well, yeah, what we need is a good old fashioned current year or current time speculative fiction kind of movie to come out and let people know exactly to the level of surveillance everybody is under. The access to personal information out there, because I can tell you, and this is probably me putting on my own tinfoil hat, all your information is out there. If you've posted it on the internet, if you've put it on a computer, if you've written it in a text document and filed it away in 30 subfolders, it's out there. Somebody has that. If somebody wants access to it, they have access to it. The only way to keep information from getting out is to put it in your head and keep it in your head and never let it out. And that's the unfortunately sad thing, is now we live in this world where we have this massive communications network where everybody
Always
thinks
connected to the network.
yeah, and everybody thinks they should put out absolutely everything that comes into their heads all the time. It used to be 140 characters, now it's 230 characters at a time, spewing out the absolute free association, random bile of whatever thinking is going on in your head.
I'm pretty sure, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, look, as much information as people are willfully putting out there, and the social media platforms have basically said, people do it, and they've encouraged it. And so,
Yeah, because people keep putting that stuff out there, and all that stuff gets collated and put into
A database.
the database with keyword terminology and search engine optimization to find out which ones, pick out and find out which ones will key off those specific advertisements to come right back to you. And that's why when everybody kind of getting a little freaked out, because I was just talking, not posting or anything like that, but I was just talking about something the other day, and then I turn on my computer and I see 10 advertisements for that very same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Cookies, everything. Welcome to the information digital age.
Yeah.
Your privacy is
I think
not exactly there anymore.
I think the best thing, and this is where I'm going to end it on, if any kind of agency online with a .com or whatever kind of website address offers you anything, and it says that it's totally free for you to sign up and use and everything like that, they're not selling you a product. You're the product.
Yeah.
Because they're selling you to advertisers. And that's exactly how this whole structure works right now. And so, yeah, they're tracking you. The government could find as much information on you as they want, but, I mean, tax records, Social Security, they already have access to the major things they need to steal your identity. So,
Yeah. Social Security number.
it's 1 2 1 test. Nice little hiccup there.
Oh. Well, I think we're going to wrap up the show because apparently our
computer is starting to freak out and put on
it's going to start on fire.
Yeah.
It's the government. We said the government.
Oh, no,
and
yeah.
CIA.
No, it's me.
times.
It's me.
The FBI agent watching us.
And government, FBI.
Sorry, Mr. FBI.
Yeah.
All right.
We're good at two shoes.
Go subscribe to us on Google, iTunes. Just click the fucking button.
Yeah.
The button
Somewhere.
Damn.
Let us know what you think, and we will see you next time.
Bye guys.